Becky. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a little strange, but recently I shared in a vlog that in a life update video that my husband had COVID a few weeks ago. It's been about a month ago now, actually. And I was vlogging the day we found out, and a lot of you guys commented in that video that you were interested to see that, like, how we were dealing with the fact that he had COVID and the rest of us didn't, me and the girls, and how it was and how we handled living in a house with somebody who has to be home for 2 weeks and they have it and no one else does, and you're trying to keep them away and you're trying to keep everybody else who's healthy. How do we manage that? What are some things that we did to try to keep him away and still keep me and the girls healthy and maintain the house and like the cleanliness and everything, when you know somebody that is in your house has had COVID and has been on every surface and has touched everything and is using utensils and things like that? And so, of course, first thing I want to say, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a disease specialist. I'm not a virus professional. I know nothing medical beyond my own experience. And that's all I'm sharing today is just our experience and what we did. Take it with a grain of salt. Some of these things may not have amounted to a hill of beans and helped whatsoever, but they're what we did. And actually the good thing about it is, the only thing that kind of backs up what I'm saying is, after I decided and like made this list of things that we had done to try to keep everyone else healthy, I did actually Google like what to do when you live with someone with COVID. And I think pretty much everything on this list is on like websites from medical professionals and, you know, infectious disease and virus specialists. So that kind of backs up what I'm saying a little bit, but just saying that this does not mean that if you do all these things that nobody else in your family is going to get sick. It's just what we did to stay healthy, and knock on wood, me and the girls have been fine the whole time, and he's back at work and he's healthy and everything's back to normal. So just our tips, my suggestions. So you never know, unfortunately, when someone in your family, in your household, is going to get COVID. None of you may ever get it, and I hope that you don't, and I hope that we don't, but you kind of have to prepare ahead of time because you don't want to be blindsided like we were. Like, he literally had no idea, and then all of a sudden he was positive and we didn't have anything prepared. So it never hurts to be prepared just in case, and have some things and thoughts and processes kind of in mind of what you'll do if someone were to suddenly test positive for COVID. So the first thing you can do is to prepare ahead of time. Where would you put this person if they came up with COVID? Is it someone you share a bed with? Is it somebody that you share a room with? If it's one of your kids, do they share rooms? Where would you put this person to be able to quarantine them? Or where would you put the person that's healthy that has to sleep in that room or that bed with somebody? Where would they go so that the sick person can have the room entirely to themselves? So be thinking about that. Do you have an extra room in the basement? Do you have a spare bonus room or a playroom? In our case, we ended up quarantining him in what used to be the playroom. Now it's kind of like the bonus room. That was his gaming room anyway. He plays video games all the time. So that made sense because that was a room that neither the girls or I ever had to go into and didn't need to go into for that length of time. So 2 weeks, I didn't need to go in there. It wasn't a room people were passing through. It wasn't a room I needed to get stuff out of. And I told my oldest daughter that. I was like, get your stuff that you need, because she usually puts her makeup on in there. I said, get all your stuff that you need to put your makeup on and take it to your room. Don't leave anything in that room that you need for school or for makeup or whatever, because he's gonna be in there for 2 weeks and you're not gonna be able to go in there. So she kind of packed a little overnight bag, and she did her makeup in her room and stuff. And that was where we put an air mattress. And that's another thing I would recommend. If you have a space like this where you can put this other person, it would be so much better to have them on an air mattress or a cot than it would be to have them in a bed that is a lot harder to disinfect or wash. So for us, you know, I slept in our bed and we got him an air mattress just solely for this purpose, put it up in the bonus room, and that is where he slept. The second thing that really came in handy for us was making sure you have a thermometer, and it also helps to have an oxygen reader on hand. We had the thermometer on hand. The oxygen meter thing we did not have on hand, because how often do you normally need to take your oxygen levels? But when he was sick, it was really important to make sure we were keeping track of his temperature and keeping track of his oxygen levels to make sure he was not going below a healthy number. We also found it really important, not that you don't always have to stay hydrated, but especially when he had COVID, he was really dehydrated, and he had other stomach issues that caused him to be even further dehydrated. So it was super important to make sure he had liquids available to him all the time. I actually bought 2 cases of bottled water that he kept in the bonus room just for him. That way he did not have to even leave the room to get water. He didn't have to go to the bathroom to fill it up. He didn't have to come downstairs. He had access to water 24/7. Also, cannot stress enough how important electrolytes are, especially when someone's sick, especially when they're dehydrated. And I didn't want to just go to the store and get any of the more conventional name brand electrolyte drinks because they are so bad for you. They're so full of sweeteners and preservatives. So I really tried to find a more natural version of an electrolyte drink to get him kind of replenished and get him the hydration that he needed. So an electrolyte drink that I would recommend when someone's sick, or really anytime if you have a kid in sports, or you yourself you work out all the time, or you tend to dehydrate, or you don't like drinking water, it is really important to make sure that you're getting in all your hydration. Kinderlite is an amazing, natural, non-GMO alternative to conventional, unhealthy electrolyte drinks. Kinderlite has actually been formulated by doctors and dietitians, so they are creating this product that is the most optimum hydration for you without all the yucky stuff they tend to put in electrolyte drinks. Even though the company is called Kinderlite, it is definitely not just for kids. It is for all ages, and they deliver more electrolytes, potassium, and zinc than Pedialyte. And zinc is really, really important, especially when dealing with COVID. That's one of the things that they tell you to make sure that you're not low on, to make sure that you are able to have minimal symptoms and recover more quickly. Plus, Kinderlite is not full of all the yucky stuff, like I said, sodium and sweeteners and artificial coloring that like Pedialyte and a lot of the other sports drinks have. It does not have any of that stuff. I actually have a coupon code for you guys for 10% off with the code aplacetonest, and if you go on auto shipment, you'll actually save an additional 20% on top of that. Plus, you get free shipping on orders over $20, and there's a 90-day return policy. So if you don't like it, or you find out your kids don't like it, which I doubt would happen, but if you do have that happen, they will take it back for 90 days. So having electrolytes on hand and making sure that he drank them was super, super important. Speaking of water, when it came to eating, we used paper plates and plastic forks and spoons and knives and things whenever possible. Anything he needed to eat out of or drink out of that I didn't have a disposable version of, I would bleach it before I put it in the dishwasher. So I would bleach it and let it soak, and then I would put it in the dishwasher on the highest temperature setting just to make sure that it was good and sanitized. And also, whenever we took him his food, we would just sit it outside the door and not even open the door. I would just knock, and then when I was gone out of the hallway and nobody was in the hallway, he would open the door and get his food and eat it. And then when he was done, he would sit it back out in the hallway. I would get gloves, take it downstairs. If it was not disposable, I would bleach it and then put it in the dishwasher. So it was a lot of extra steps, but I think it was just a little bit of extra precaution that we could take just to make sure that he was not contaminating the dishes that he didn't have to, and if they were, that I was cleaning them really, really well. We also thankfully had some really good weather the couple weeks that he was quarantined, so we were able to open the windows in the house every single day, including the window of the room that he was staying in, just to get some airflow and get ventilation in the house and try to like clear that out. I know that's not like a medical thing, but airing out your house is a good thing to do anyway, but especially when somebody is sick. Kind of like I talked about earlier with giving this person their own room if possible, or their own area. If at all possible, try to give this person their own bathroom. Thankfully, we have 2 full baths and 1 half bath, so me and the girls have been we're using my bathroom, and then my husband would use the girls' bathroom exclusively. So he did not go to any other bathroom in the house. That was just a lot easier to kind of keep his germs contained. And then when he got better, I wore a mask and gloves, and I went in there and like sprayed everything down. And then we were gonna repaint anyway. So I cleaned and everything really, really well. And then we painted and everything's fresh and new now. I changed the shower curtain and everything just to make sure that it was all clean. So that was really helpful to have him off in his own bathroom that nobody else had to use. So if that's at all possible, definitely do that. If not, you would want to make sure that the person that's sick wears a mask when they're in the bathroom, and that you are cleaning up in there very, very often with a mask and gloves on. If the sick person needs to leave their room and go somewhere down in the house, just make sure they have a mask and gloves on just to minimize the things that they're touching and the air they're breathing. I would also put clothes for him and towels and Q-tips and everything he needed to get ready right outside his door, because our bonus room is like a few steps away from the bathroom he was using. So everything he needed was kind of off in this one little section of the hallway. So he had all of his pajamas and his clothes and his socks and his Q-tips and his toothbrush and all that stuff, his own toothpaste for sure. Don't share toothpaste with somebody, especially when they're sick. Everything he needed was there, and then when he had dirty clothes, he would leave it in the bathroom. I would put gloves and a mask on. I would get his dirty clothes, and I would wash it all on hot water separately from everyone else's clothes. I also put a trash bag. I would put trash bags outside of his door. That way, whenever he did have trash, like tissues or anything he had in his room, he could just put it in the trash bag, and we would take the trash bag straight out to the trash. So that way we were not like having his garbage either piling up in the room he was in or being traipsed throughout the house. Bag it straight up and get it out of the house. And then just overall, like you would any cold and flu season, be more diligent with cleaning frequently touched surfaces in your house. So even if the sick person has not been downstairs, or even if they haven't been touching the phones or the doorknobs, you have been touching things that they touched, and it's just a good idea to go ahead and clean all that stuff more frequently. And it doesn't take very long to run through the house with a disinfecting wipe and just kind of wipe all your surfaces. So like I said, I do that all the time, but especially during the winter months. And something else I do, this is kind of off topic for COVID, it's not really though. If you have to go in the store and you notice like they have either employees that are disinfecting buggies and carts and things, or you're supposed to disinfect your own, something I have always done that is especially helpful right now, instead of taking the time to touch the buggy and like wipe it down myself, you're already getting germs all over your hand when you do that. I go, if a store has like the umbrella bags or even a produce bag, before I even touch the buggy, I will grab an umbrella bag. They're usually right by the door when you come in, and I'll just stick it on the handle of the buggy, and that way I don't even have to pull the cart out of the corral to go and wipe it. I just instantly put the umbrella bag on the handle, and I don't have to touch it. Something I've always done for years and years and years. And it was funny because I was at the grocery store a few days ago, and the lady's like, that's a really smart idea. And I was like, I know. I didn't mean to say I know. It makes me look like I was conceited, but I'm just like, I was impressed with myself that has, and I don't see anybody else doing that. So I'm like, you guys use the umbrella bags or the produce bags to put on the handle to keep you from having to touch it. It's amazing. But especially right now with COVID going around, it's really helpful. So those are the things that we did to try to keep everyone else healthy while my husband was sick and in quarantine. Thankfully, we were very blessed that it did work. I'm very glad that we all stayed healthy. That doesn't mean we won't get it at some point, but at least we didn't catch it from him while he was here for 2 weeks with during quarantines. These are just my tips and suggestions. Like I said, I'm not a doctor. I'm not a communicable disease or virus specialist. I'm just a mom and a wife trying to figure things out and be as smart as I can about things, and just trying to give you guys some things to think about, or maybe some things you can do just to try your best to stay healthy when maybe people around you are sick. And this is just even not for COVID, just for the flu or something, where you want to keep everyone else healthy. I think these tips will apply to anything like that. So I hope it was helpful. If it was, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to check out Kinderlight. I will link them for you below. They have tons of different options. They have like the powders you can get. They have this and the liquids and everything you can get. Tons of different variety. And you can get 10% off with coupon code aplacetonest. So check them out. I have them linked for you below in the description box. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not already, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.